That Jets-Patriots game did a great job at trying to compete with the Broncos and Colts for the worst game of the season up to this point. There was so much to not like about that game. The only touchdown was scored on a game-winning punt. Why are you even kicking it to him in the first place? Why, with the last kick of the game, basically, are you kicking it to the returner for him to try to go and score? Come on, New York teams, you got to get this together. You do not punt to a guy when he could potentially take it back for a touchdown to win the game. You do not do that. But that's the only touchdown score of the game on special teams. There was a whole lot to dislike about that game. It was a terrible football game. And yet somehow, Zach Wilson found a way to emerge at the top as the worst individual performance of the game on Sunday. Zach Wilson finishing with a absolutely lovely 9 of 22, 77 yards. He did not help the Jets in any aspect. He was their rushing leader, of course, 26 yards. Of course, the Jets, of course, Zach Wilson, that's their rushing leader, the guy I'm here to slander. Zach Wilson is done as a Jets quarterback. And as a Jets fan, if you're watching this, I hope Zach Wilson is done. He has so much to like, I will say. He has so much to like. He's got a cannon of an arm. He has a really pretty throwing style that you look at it and you're like, oh, that's Patrick Mahomes. He can move around. There's so much to like. On tape, when he's hitting, Zach Wilson looks like he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But that's just simply not what the story of Zach Wilson is. Zach Wilson, we see him yesterday, missing dump-offs to his left. Braxton Berrios, dude's like, 5'9", shoots it over his head. He can't hit these simple passes. He can't seem to hit these short to intermediate routes. He looks so much for the home run. He has not learned. And I'm not sure how much longer Robert Saleh is going to be dealing with this. We see defensive-minded coaches have a very short leash for quarterbacks. Robert Saleh has done a fantastic job on the defensive side for the Jets this year. He's done a great job drafting. Also on the offensive side of the ball, he has two good offensive rookies this season, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, of course, unfortunately going down with the injury. But Robert Saleh has done a good job drafting. Robert Saleh has done a good job in building up this defense. This team needs a quarterback. The offensive line's beat up right now. That, of course, affects the offense. But this team desperately needs a quarterback and is desperate for Zach Wilson to step up. And he's just simply not getting it done. And then Zach Wilson goes on the podium, and when the reporter asks him the question, is there anything you could have done to help the defense? Or I'm sorry, did you feel that you let the defense down today? He says, no. You don't think you did? 9 of 22, 77 passing yards? Your offense was responsible for 2 yards in the entire second half? How can you, with a straight face, sit there and say that you did not, there's not more you could have done to help the defense? The defense played fantastic. You're going against a Bill Belichick coach team. You know they're going to be prepared every single week, even though, as I sit here, I am very skeptical about Mac Jones in the future of the Patriots with him at the quarterback. You know they're going to be well coached. You know they're going to try. They're going to put their best foot forward to try to win the game. But you're Zach Wilson. You're Zach Wilson who has all this talent, who has this God-given athletic ability to scramble outside, has a cannon of an arm. And time again, he lets the Jets down. Even when they went on their nice little winning stretch, he wasn't responsible for those wins. They had a great ground game. Breece Hall, I know it's unfortunate to see an NFL star like that go down, but Breece Hall goes down and the offense collapses with it. You try to go out and get James Robinson to add to Michael Carter. Hasn't helped. And I really wonder what is going on through his head. I cannot even fathom sitting here as a unbiased Jets, well, maybe slightly biased, but we'll leave that out. But sitting there watching that game yesterday, Zach Wilson, he brings nothing to the offense. He has his talent, but you cannot win with talent alone. He cannot break down defenses. He cannot hit simple checkdowns. And he hasn't developed mentally. He was ostracized really from the rest of the country for most of his life, going to BYU. If we saw how awkward he looked at the draft, being in an environment he's not used to. He's not used to having the bright lights on him like you have with the New York Jets. It's a New York team. No matter what, everybody's going to be looking at you. You play in the AFC East. You play in New York. And you go out there, 77 yards. Congratulations, you led the team in rushing, 26 yards. And yet you can't take any sort of responsibility afterwards. You don't even necessarily have to say, I played bad. I played horrible. I really let us down. Don't even have to say that. Zach Wilson, you could have gone out there and said, wow, our defense put up a show today. They really showed why they're one of the premier defenses in this league. That's all you had to do. All you had to do is you don't even necessarily have to take responsibility. You could have shouldered that by saying, oh wow, our defense played fantastic. Because it did. Robert Saleh has built a fantastic defense. And if you're Robert Saleh, I don't know how you walk up to Zach Wilson and look him in the eye and tell him anything but get better. There's Robert Saleh, he appears to be a good head coach. I've liked what we've seen from him so far. So far, he's one of the best coaches in the league this year in the Coach of the Year conversation. Has rebuilt this team, has set an attitude, has set a grit to this team. Has set a little bit of expectation for this team. I don't know how you can look at your quarterback, Zach Wilson, and not be disappointed by his play, by his lack of leadership abilities, his demeanor at the podium. Zach Wilson has a lot to fix if he wants to be a professional quarterback in this league. I don't think it's going to be with the New York Jets. I think his time with the New York Jets is done. He's had now 2 years. He hasn't really improved at all. And he has weapons around him. He has a stable defense on the other side that is funneling the ball back to him. He has this God-given talent, can sling it, can move around, can run. And time after time again, when the Jets need him to just put some points on the board, this is what you get from Zach Wilson. It'd be one thing if Zach Wilson had the gravitas, had the mentality of a leader, and had somebody that you wanted to build around. It'd be one thing if he was a good guy for the locker room. And you're like, okay, you know what? I can see us giving Zach Wilson more time. Because at the very least, he's rallying the troops. He's making everybody feel better about themselves after a loss. Picking people up, trying to get them to keep their chin up. It'd be one thing if he was out there doing that. But Zach Wilson shows immaturity. He shows a lack of play. He shows a lack of ability on the field. And now the Jets are 6-4. Now, if you asked a Jets fan before the season started if you were 6-4, how was your rack? They'd be thrilled over the moon. But based off the context of the season, you're expecting more out of this team at this point, especially against a Patriots team who has their own question marks. Is Mac Jones any good? Who are they going to throw the ball to on a consistent basis? This offensive line is Swiss cheese. We are smacking around Mac Jones. They got to Mac Jones at will on Sunday. You have so many great things with the New York Jets. So much more that you expected going. You got so much more than what you were expecting to at the beginning of the season. And your quarterback is letting you down. You got to move off of Zach Wilson. I'm not sure who. Maybe Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, a disgruntled quarterback with the Saints. He's very disappointed that he's got his starting role taken seemingly to injury. Somebody like that who seems desperate for an opportunity, where Zach Wilson doesn't seem grateful for his opportunity.